teammate to come on. Yes, was. Okay. Yes, we should have him pretty soon. He said, following the speech, he was asked in an interview with today's program if he agreed with the proposition that virtually no one should claim benefit without trying to get back to work. So at least you should make the effort that you are getting back to work before we get you done. Okay. Yomi, we can't see you.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can see you now. We can hear you now. Yeah. Okay, listeners, just bear with us now. We've got our own Mr. Olayomi Koiki today coming your way from our North London studios. And let me say, Yomi, massive good morning to you.
Well, a very good morning to you, Mr. Archie, and a very good morning to all our listeners and viewers. And welcome once again to the Wednesday edition of the morning show, where we're going to be cracking on myself and Archie, as there's a lot to cover and there's also a lot to discuss when it comes to the news coming out of Nigeria. So I say good morning, share the program, and invite others as well to do so.
Yes, I think this morning you look like Chief Nnamdi Azikiwe.
Well, that's quite an interesting one because at least even if we remember some of this legend, the question is, how come, we were unable at the Yoruba, National Unity Day, is the peaceful event that takes place every year after the 134 years of what we call the Kiriji War. At the Obafemi Awolowo University 2 days ago, because I was not in yesterday to cover, and give you the development, the university actually did not allow, the Yoruba, not a Yoruba Nation program, is a unity day, for the war that took place between all the Yorubas for over 134 years. They were not allowed to use the university premises, even though it was booked, but they refused to allow that to be used. The question is why? And, so when you say I look like Azikiwe this morning, it also means that, when we talk about the legend, those that fought for independence, Azikiwe, Ahmadu Bello, I'm sure they will want the university to allow such a very important event to be held. But again, as usual, that did not happen, but we can only hope for the best in the future to come.
Well, listeners, this is Starr Radio UK. Mr. Olayomi Koiki in our North London studios. I'm actually here in the South studios, and we're going to bring you updates from Nigeria. Juliet says, greetings, Mr. King Koiki. Yes, so you've been now, I don't know how to say it. You've been raised to the highest point. You are now a king. All right then. All right. Share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages wherever you might be this morning. This is Starr Radio UK, and this is the Wednesday edition of the morning show. So let's crack on. Let's look at some of the stories.
I'm going to be pushing some of them in just about a few minutes, but let's, once again tell our listeners that, every Monday to Friday, it is the Wednesday edition, but on a Friday, Monday, Tuesday, you can always check us out where we report all the daily news of the happenings, not just in Nigeria, but across the globe as well. So I'm going to come back again to you in the studio, but maybe you might want us to go straight to the United Nations because it's an ongoing event. And as we know, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will not be attending, these global events as we were expecting him to do. But apparently, the reason is because, maybe, just maybe, there's a lot of, speculation, there's a lot of rumors, but we tend not to go with rumor on this platform. But what we can say is, the president actually have sent, the vice president to attend on his behalf. And what they are discussing again this morning is about the debt. Remember that, Obasanjo requested for the debt to be cancelled. It seems that President Bola Tinubu is prioritized the debt forgiveness. He made the call while addressing the world leaders during the general debate of the ongoing 79th session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York. President Bola Tinubu has asked the UN to prioritize the debt forgiveness from creditors and multilateral financial institutions for Nigeria and developing country. The question is, how long are we going to continue to ask for debt relief? I come back again to you in the studio, Mr. Archie.
Yes, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki for you. Let me say good morning to Bishop Adesina. Thank you very much for joining us there as well. Now, let's come to the speech that Shetima gave on behalf of the president. Now, talking about debt forgiveness. Now, How many times have we have debt forgiveness in our part of the world? And what have we done with it? So we're looking at the Buhari era. Let me put it that way. And looking at everything that went on there, and we're talking about the losses that as a country the country has faced. And so when you go to somebody who has seen you misusing whatever you had, and then you come and say, okay, can you the loan that you give me, can you cancel that one as well? What do you expect them to tell you, Yomi?
Well, you're quite right. Right now, and I'm going back to, as of July this year, Nigeria is currently at 1.7 billion US dollars in terms of the debt. Nigerian debt, according to the World Bank, has rise, by 1.7 billion dollars under Tinubu's administration. The Nigerian debt to the World Bank increased, according to the analysts of the data of the Debt Management Office (DMO). The debt has rose from 14.51 billion at the end of the second quarter of 2023 to 15.51 billion by the end of the first quarter of 2024. That increased about 7%. The question you asked is, I remember, like you said, Obasanjo also asked for, Nigeria debt to be cancelled. And it seems that as at the time, that debt was allowed to be cancelled. But again, Obasanjo says on the ease about the rising of the debt, is a former president, President Bola Tinubu should heed the fresh warning from one of his predecessor, Olusegun Obasanjo, who has argued, perceivably that Nigeria and other African countries might find itself difficult to secure fresh debt relief due to the large debt profile. With the level of mismanagement of the previous debt that was written off of the country, it will be almost impossible for any administration to get a similar gesture in the continent. This is coming from a previous, President Obasanjo. The question is, will the world heed to give this current administration debt relief? We will have to wait and see the reaction coming from the New York as the General Assembly continue.
Well, listen, it's Starr Radio UK. Now, Julia says he looks good. He says Yomi is looking good and cool. But she goes on further to say, he said, as Africa, we have everything in Africa. And why do we keep getting in debt? And it's all because of management, and working together, which we fail to do. Well. Listeners, you can also share your comments or your thoughts with us on the platforms that we are broadcasting on. Now, let's come to the federal government may spend 236 billion naira monthly on imported Dangote petrol. Now, yesterday, Dangote came out to talk about the fact that government should take the
subsidy
of the fuel that the country is seen to be using. So I was looking at it quietly and I'm thinking, whoa, there are other people, there are other entities who are involved in the importation of the finished petroleum products into the country. And it's a whole industry. It's a whole industry. So I don't know how they are going to look at it, because it's them eventually you are siphoning or taking the breath out of their businesses. I don't know how that will pan out. Yomi, what do you think?
Well, the issue between the federal government and Dangote doesn't seem to be going down. I did watch the interview and it's already trending as we speak this morning on the social media. What Dangote is saying is that, we can't sustain, the subsidy. We were told by this regime that subsidy has been removed. A lot of Nigerians, doesn't believe that it has been removed because, there is still a lot of discussion that the subsidy is still right in there. So this morning, in most of the dailies coming out of Nigeria, it's all about, the Dangote. So let's look at what the Dangote is saying this morning. 236 billion is spent monthly on imported Dangote petrol. And I love to look into OECD. There is the report of how we have been unable to get things right in Nigeria means that that is the reason why the country is where it is today. So let's take us to 2022 when we talk about the importation and the export of goods and services into the country. And this is coming from a data from the OEC where we looked into what is happening. Crude oil actually gave Nigeria 73.7% in 2022 to the tune of 52 billion US dollars. But what we are also doing is, we are importing back, even though that's an export, but we then to import the finishing product of these crude oil sold to the country, but subsidized. And the subsidy is the reason why a lot of Nigerians are struggling because, a lot of Nigerians have packed up, my family member this morning I was speaking to, I spent 30,000 naira in less than a few days, to get petrol into their generator because the electricity, is a disaster in the country. So the federal government is spending about 236 billion monthly to subsidize the premium amount of spirit known as petrol. That is imported through the Nigerian National Petroleum Company. And the one that is solely off-taken by the NNPC from the Dangote Petroleum Refinery. So yes, on Monday, the president and the chief executive of Dangote Group, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, called on the federal government that it is time to take the bull by the horn to end, finally, the subsidy completely. He said, and I quote, the removal would help determine the actual petrol consumption in the country because it seems that we don't know what is the actual consumption in Nigeria. And we know that many are stolen out of the neighboring borders to Cameroon and others. So let me come back again to the studio. But according to the Major Energy Marketer Association of Nigeria, had lifted over 50 million liters of PMS from the Dangote refinery in the past week.
Well, listen, let's start with it. Okay, now interesting. Now we're looking at the issue here that Dangote, now that they are giving him or his.
Can you give me just a few seconds off the screen? We'll come back in just about 30 seconds. Thank you.
Yes, bear with us. Yes. Okay. So I'm asking the question that now that Dangote seems to be receiving crude oil from the is it the downstream or upstream, whatever they call it. Okay. So direct into his refinery and therefore not importing them, that should bring the price down. And then again, they said that he should pay the refinery should pay in naira instead of paying in dollars. So that will automatically bring the price of the crude oil down, because it's not going to be imported into the country and all those things that comes with it. So it's quite a bit tricky thing, but we'll be talking about that. Let me read some of the comments. So Mr. Palestina says that now, as pertaining to the Awolowo University, he says now same university in Yoruba land cannot make Yoruba cultural events there. He was talking about the fact that Obafemi Awolowo University was built by great Yoruba leaders with Yoruba financial ecosystem before hijacked by the federal government. Then he goes on further to say, he said now same university in Yoruba land cannot permit Yoruba cultural events, but can permit any other social gathering, party, etc. there. So he's querying the source of that university, how the whole thing came about, how it was built, and now the fact that the people whose resources were used to build it want to celebrate something, and he said, no, you can't use it. Well, it's quite an interesting one, isn't it? Well, I have Mr. Olayomi Koiki back on. Once I go to him, Juliet also has said that, he said, imagine that increasing instead of going down, Africa, Nigeria has everything. She's again, Nigeria has got everything. So why is Nigeria going through all this tumultuous time? But let's come to Jomin with the fuel subsidy and what Dangote is saying is going on about. I'm of the view that now that the refinery is receiving crude oil directly, so if they are not importing the crude oil from the US and other places that they were, and the federal government has said that they should pay in naira, that means that there's no need for the dollars, the foreign exchange thing. So definitely, it's going to bring the price down, right?
Well, that is what you will expect, that the price is meant to come down. So based on the revelation by the major oil marketer, the cost of the Dangote petrol sold to the NNPC sold to the NNPC, the price at which NNPC got the product from Dangote, it was established that the product was being subsidized, by the government through the national oil firm. The major oil marketer stated that the product was sold to the NNPC at 766 naira per liter, whereas NNPC had earlier said it got a commodity at 898 from Dangote. This implies that for every liter of the PMS, we are subsidizing it by 132 naira, according to the marketers. Dangote commenced the release of the PMS into the domestic market just about less than 10 days ago, because today is the 25th. So on the 15th of this month, stated that it will pump about 25 million liters. The question then is, how much liters are Nigerians using? Whether it's a better pass your neighbor, is a big hotel, or is just the vehicle that are driving on the different part of the country. But the NNPC shuddering a subsidy of 3.3 billion naira daily, while in 30 days, it has spent 99 billion to subsidize Dangote petrol to marketers. So it seems that the NNPC is subsidizing, what they are buying from Dangote back into the country. Remember, this is produced in Nigeria, no longer part of the imported ones, even though we know we still have many that are still imported into the country.
Well, listen, this is quite interesting. We'll have to look into details at that, because if you are cooking your own food at home and you are going to be dishing it out and you want it to be compared, prices outside, somebody said that, well, there are other inputs that come with it, other parts and other stuff. So maybe because of that, that is why. But should governments continue to subsidize it? Should government continue to subsidize the fuel? Already, when they just announced that the fuel subsidy is gone, without government actually ending it, we see the pain and the crisis in the economy. But Yomi, what have been the reaction of Nigerians as a whole this morning?
Well, Nigerians are still shocked, and surprised that we are still being told that the refinery is getting worked in and all that. But it seems that we told you during the week that the refinery is not functioning. Even Femi Falana, if you remember, on Monday says that is going to be needing the freedom of information, to get how long the refinery will be working. So Nigerians are still confused that as much as this administration is saying one thing, but it looks like it's another thing happening entirely. So a lot of Nigerians are more or less tired of these lies of the government that has become part and parcel of any African leaders today.
Well, listen, let's start ready. You can Olayomi Koiki in the North London studios. I'm actually here in the South studios, so we're bringing you updates from Nigeria on the morning show. Now, yesterday, the vice president, in some of the speeches that he made in the UN, talked about the fact that Nigeria, under the leadership of the current president, has got, virtually opened the doors for investors of the best investment destination in the continent, or for the country. That is being the best one. But there's one area that they didn't touch on. That is security. Security, because we see that insecurity is going on. I don't know how far, was it the day before yesterday? They were talking about the Kaduna, the military, attacking some of the, I don't know what to call them, rebels or bandits or terrorists, whichever term that is applicable. They were saying that one of them, their leaders have been killed and blah, blah, blah. Now we have Zamfara governor also reporting defense minister on banditry. So virtually, it's one area that they didn't address. You want people to come. You want me to go and invest in some part of the country. Meanwhile, if he goes to do that, we have people, doctors and other people who came to that country to do business, yet they lost their life because of insecurity. Do you see that there's been an improvement in security in the country so far with the president Tinubu in government?
Well, it has got worse, and it's still getting, extremely worse on a daily basis. Let me first speak on what Lagbaja, the chief of defense staff, is saying this morning. Then I'm going to, go back to what the vice president is saying. The vice president might tell the world whatever they want to tell them, but the world is monitoring and also filtering what is happening on the ground in reality, because what we are discussing is reality, not what they're telling us. Back in the days is the analog when you can say everything is working. It is unrealistic for 2 million security personnel to secure Nigeria. This is coming from Lagbaja. The COS stressed that the Nigerian army, along with other security agencies, is under resources. The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Tarid Lagbaja, has now expressed the need for every citizen to get involved in the security of lives and properties in the country and not leave it only to the security agency. I don't know what he means by that, because maybe every Nigerian will be having access to weapons as American does. Then if somebody knows that you have weapons, maybe they might not come closer to you. Lagbaja said this while delivering the 2024 Distinguished Personality Lecture. It's all about the lecture. It's all about the meetings, the conferences. Buhari did that for 8 years, and we saw how nothing came out of it until a lot of us understand that there is an agenda. There is an hidden agenda to destabilize, especially some region in Africa. We're not talking about just Nigeria now. If you look at Mali, you look at the Burkina Faso, you look at the Chad. The question is the influx of terrorism moving closer to those regions tells you that there is something skeptical about it. But if the COS, the Major General says that 2 million cannot protect 200 million people, then there is no need for the Vice President to say, and I quote, is now appealing to Finland to support Nigeria to remain a super force in Africa and would do so. The question we should then go back is, how much is the population of Finland this morning, and why is the president seeking Finland that also fought to become the global whatever we might be calling it in terms of the support. I saw Seyi Makinde, the governor of Oyo State, also was in Finland, not to to get Simon Ekpa, I can tell you that, but to secure support for education and tech. But we are talking about a population of 5.5 million. And then now, with a population of 200 million, is it not then better off, this is just my own opinion and view, that we let Nigeria to dissolve so that, maybe the 35 million can look after themselves as trying to remain one. And we are looking for a country of a population of 5.5 million, the fatality rate at 1.46, the GDP at 1.6, and also, the income coming into the country of that 5.5 million. Alimasho local government, will be working towards to become a country if they can, even Lagos at 20 million. So you can tell that, Nigeria is not a serious country. It's meant to be the backbone of Africa when it comes to the support of other African countries. But as I speak to you this morning, and I know that because, we get report every day, 70 pounds, we give you close to about 150,000 naira. 70 pounds would be just about close to $100. But that is nothing when you send it to Benin Republic, which will only give you less than 50,000 CFA this morning.
Wow.
So 150,000 naira will give you just 50,000 naira, the Benin Republic money this morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Okay, let's move on to some of the other stories. I would like Yomi to continue to bring you all the other stories moving around. Over to you, Yomi, please.
Well, because I know we're always pressed with time on a Wednesday like this, so we're going to crack on quickly. There's a lot to cover. And as we continue to look into the stress of business, in Nigeria this morning, many businesses are collapsing, many businesses are folding up. And the reason is because, the interest rate this morning is also remained 2-digit. Rate hikes. Nigerians, however, greater incentive to hold Naira. This is coming from the CBN. The Apex Bank under Cardoso. Remember that we were told that Cardoso was resigning, but it looks like, that is probably not happening yet. In the last year, has raised the interest rate by 8.5% from 18.75%. As at September 2023, it was 27.25% to 12 months. According to the central bank, says its multiple interest rate hike last year have helped boost Nigerians' confidence in the currency, the Naira. But like I said, I am not confident, because if I have to be sending 150,000 naira to receive 50,000 safer, then there's a big problem in there. According to the CBN Governor Olayomi Koiki yesterday, stated this at the press briefing, as always, the 297 meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee. This is what the hotels are making money out of: the committee, the meetings, and all other conferences. Hotels in Abuja are good at organizing that, but that is not making any impact to many lives of Nigeria. So we're going to pick on one or two more, and then we go straight to the social media this morning. Our money printing oil price crash amid economy. This is also coming from Cardoso. We came into a very loose money supply situation between 2017 and 2023, and we witnessed the pumping of liquidity into the system, he said. The governor of the CBN has again blamed the monetary policy of his predecessor. So that means, Emefiele and also Buhari. The problem is Tinubu doesn't want to blame Buhari, for the mess that this, man created before he left government after 8 years. We thought that, Buhari, the ex-general, will be looking after the security, while Yemi Osibajo, the brilliant Yoruba man, the vice president, will look into the economy, but it was all collapsed, according to Cardoso. According to Governor Emefiele, for the current economic situation of the country. So Cardoso is not blaming Tinubu, is actually shifting the blame to Emefiele, that is being detained. He's asking for medical report, is not coming through that. I'm going to go straight, because Nnamdi Kanu was again at the court yesterday, and as usual, it seems that whether the British are not doing much, but Justice Binta Nyako has now stepped down, from the case of Nnamdi Kanu as the judge withdraw from the trial. What next is the question on the lips of many Nigerians. A lot of questions were thrown to Nnamdi Kanu himself, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, yesterday. And one of the one I picked up that says, it was the quote of the day: I have already spent 4 years, in capacity of my, rendition, my kidnap by Buhari and Yemi Osibajo. If I'm spending another 1 year to make it 5, it's not going to be anything than asking for the injustice against the Igbo, across the world, and mostly in Nigeria. At the resume hearing of the trial, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, at the Federal High Court in Abuja yesterday, said, and I quote, that Justice Binta Nyako, she was going to rescue herself from the trial. Rescue, as defined by the law.com dictionary, means to refuse to be a judge, or for a judge to agree to request by one party to step aside. In the lawsuit of appeal, because of a conflict of interest or good reason, it also applies to judge or prosecutor. Nyako responds to rescue herself from the trial, follow Kanu's request in an open court that the trial judge rescue herself from his trial, since she has refused to obey the order of the Supreme Court. The question is, are we ever going to see a system where, if justice is not served, and I'm picking this now from Simon Ekpa, the government of the Biafra in the de facto government and the home government, and it says, if there is no justice, you can expect more violence and more anarchy. And since we don't want violence and anarchy in Nigeria, would the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu now look into the rendition, the kidnap of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? Will they look into, while Igbowo has to be outside the country when we have terrorists that continue to be in there? I'm also now reading from Simon Ekpa that believes that the Yoruba should also have their independent country. But also there are some Yorubas that are called the Afonjas. Those are the ones that are against Baba Akintoye. And as Baba Akintoye said again yesterday, X-men have killed over 29,000 Yoruba people. It is time to separate Yoruba nation from Nigeria. So Simon Ekpa is now responding that 29,000 Yoruba people have been killed, including the Afonjas. We are yet to read the Nigerian terrorist headquarters writing to the international community and United, because the Nigerian terrorist army is the X-men in some places, and they also work for the X-men. And that is why the Zamfara state government is now asking Tinubu to look into the defense minister, Matawali, because his name has been mentioned frequently by the terrorists as one of their sponsors.
Well, interesting development in Nigeria, as we say. But you know what? If you don't have any means of listening to it, you got to listen to us whilst we come your way every day, every weekday, and on the other programs that the Koikimedia brings your way as well on the Yoruba Nation platform, and we want you to be part of it. Just listen to it, and we'll keep you updated with everything that is happening there. But the judge who wants to recuse herself from the Namdi Kano's case, now is he the one who the Supreme Court ruled that they should release Namdi Kano, and then the court ruled that they should release Namdi Kano, and then they are refusing to do so, or who is he?
Well, Binta Iyako, as we know, is one of the, the Supreme Court, one of the judges, that has been part of, these, what we call a corrupt system, because the judicial system in Nigeria is a corrupt one. Justice Binta Iyako is a judge of the Federal High Court, permit me, of Nigeria from Katsina State. A lot of, that is also playing out. Remember that we're talking about, someone from the southeast and another from the northern part. So who are there pushing her not to allow Nnamdi Kanu, with the Supreme Court, giving orders that she refused to. She's the current president of the International Association of the Women Judges. But yesterday, it was all again, a joyous. You would thought that they would have weakened Nnamdi Kanu, but while he was in the court yesterday, as a lot of millions of the Biafrans around the world are looking at him, he says there is just too much injustice, for the Igbo people, and that's the reason why he's where he is today. Even after Buhari and Yemi Osinbajo kidnapped and renditioned him back to Nigeria, almost 4 years ago now.
It's quite interesting because you remember that when the court ruled that he should be released and everything that had gone on, we know that the northern elders were saying that they don't want him to be released. And fortunately or unfortunately, the judge is somebody who hails from Katsina State. That's where Buhari also comes from. So what? Is it something?
Well, we don't know, but again, you just have to, bring the A and B and then you get C, or you bring 1 on 1 and you get 2. But as we say, there shouldn't be any injustice to anyone. But as we know, there's continuous of injustice. Showore is going through that as well. We talked about, the previous ones, the Delegiwa that was investigating, the drug push by Okon. And, we know that Babangida was involved, in that. We're talking about the Funshaw Williams that was murdered. We're talking about many individuals. The former Chief Justice, Uncle Bola Ige, was killed under the nose of, the former President Olusegun Obasanjo. The question is, are people being taken out for the views against the government, or is this just coincidence?
Well, they tell us that we are practicing democracy. It's democracy that we want. We don't have to do anything, and that is the rule of law. But is there a rule of law there? Ladies and gentlemen, that is up to you. Be the judge of that. Yomi, before we go, what is happening? Do you talk about what is happening on the social media?
I'll just pick the most important one. Is between the EFCC. There's a man called the Very Dark Man, and Bobrisky. Well, a lot of people might say, wow, it looks like Bobrisky issue have already arrived in the Starr Radio UK as well. Bobrisky was charged for, money laundering and also abusing the Naira. That was what she was charged for. Did I say she? No, she's not she, it's he, but she dressed as she. Now, she was picked up, then the court case proceeding went, but before the court case, the money laundering was dropped. We didn't know why, but now we know why, because Very Dark Man released an audio yesterday accusing the EFCC, the Economic Financial Crime, for taking 50 million naira from Bobrisky so that the money laundering will be dropped. The EFCC has now released a statement, and it goes like this. Press statement yesterday, Olukayode orders investigation of a 15 million naira Bobrisky allegation against the EFCC officer. The executive chairman of the EFCC, Mr. Ola Olukayode, has ordered the immediate investigation of the alleged bribery allegation imputed to some of his officers of the commission by Idris Okuneye, aka Bobrisky, in a viral video circulating on the social media. The power of the social media. And as we come onto that, Babakitoye said in the good news to the good news to the part where the discussion about if the Yoruba become an independent country, we will not go through the same kind of media that is operating in Nigeria today. It has to be a new media that can work and defend the right of the citizen. So as we are reviewing that, that is the also, looking into the social media, and the headline to that topic, which is about 95 page of book that he wrote, but it says, and I quote, "We shall keep corruption," was the last week. "We shall have a trusted and respectable public media like the Star Radio UK delivering the news this morning."
Well, if you want more, you know where to be. Star Radio UK. Yami, let me say thank you very much for this wonderful time. It's been another brilliant morning, and we hope our listeners enjoyed the conversation that we've had this morning. But don't you worry, tomorrow God will continue, and then on the Koiki media platforms as well, there could be lots of interviews and other activities there. Join in. But again, people are asking of the 1 million. Somebody was asking me yesterday about the 1 million match, and was saying that, why are you going to be gathering and how can they be part of it? Yomi, can you tell them briefly about that?
Well, the way you can be part of these, event is that, is to create the awareness, and also to say to the international community that the Yorubas, that live in the UK, about 2 million of us working tirelessly, paying our taxes and law abiding, are also concerned about the issues of the, insecurity, the invasion of the Fulanis into our land, and also the amalgamation that whether it has expired or not, it was a trial law. Nigeria failed to work, and that means under the United Nations, Article 3, the right to self-determination should be respected. So we are gathering in the United Kingdom on the 12th of October, 2022, under the leadership of Professor Adebanji Akintoye, where we will be moving from the BBC Broadcasting House very close to Oxford Circles, but Dr. Chief Sunday Igboho will be representing Professor Adebanji Akintoye at this very important event that is going to be taking place. The Metropolitan Police are aware, the council has been told, and the purpose of that march is the self-determination march, which is now called the Yoruba, pulling together with the Yoruba World Media, the YSDM, the Yoruba Self-Determination Movement, under the Article 3. The indigenous peoples have the right to self-determination. By the virtue of that right, they are freely determine their political status, freely pursue their economic and social and cultural development. And since we don't want it to be like the Yugoslavia, where there was a lot of bloodstream, we would rather let it be like the Soviet Union, that everybody went their separate ways without a single bullet.
Well, will it happen at all? Mr. Benazina says, I laughed. Nigeria is a crime market, not just a crime scene. Well, may I say more? Yomi, say, have a lovely day, and we'll catch up tomorrow, God willing.
Have a very good morning, and stay tuned to all other events. Bye for now, Mr. Archie.
Bye-bye. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Star Radio UK. Miss Olayomi Koiki there for you in our North London studios, where we brought you updates from Nigeria.
Well, that is about it from here. I will not stay long because I have other engagement this morning. We've done a program already. If you have missed that, you can go back and find that program. That will keep you going until we come back later, if time permits, because I can't sit more for another program when this will be the second one, in a row. So, Mokibu Womo Yoruba, Elowo Itimoti Sheni Agomano ni Aroy, Kelo Finye Shigbadun, from breakfast yin, nígbà tí a bá tún máa padà wá. Àlàǹfààní àti sọ ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ tí ó pertain mọ́ in tó ń ṣe wá náà ni pé ká get the hell out of Nigeria. If you're not getting out of Nigeria, Nigeria will eventually, take every single one of us out. Moriembe, Mighty 23, shout out to every single one of you. Moria, brother, me easy. I can't wait to see you at the airport. And we will go live from the airport. Easy wants to speak, but I will allow that to be, maybe later on, because like I said, pressed with time, I have other engagement that I have to deal with. But be rest assured that this media will work tirelessly day, night, and morning to enlighten, educate you, and bring us out with the leadership of Professor Banji Akintoye and Oloye Igboho and YSDM. We will not be tired. We will end Nigeria either through anarchy, peace, war, or peacefully. We will push everything down. And I've said it. Everything I say, you might think it's not going to happen. You can see I'm dressed in black. Inú máa ń bí wa lójoojúmọ́. Kọ́lọ́n foríjì gbogbo àwọn òkú tó ti kú nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tí kò jẹ́ kó tí kú, but ikú pa wọ́n látara àwọn olórí burúkú tó ń pera wọn ní politicians. Ìyà máa jẹ gbogbo yín. Ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà ń lé, ẹ múra sílẹ̀. Ó ń bọ̀, àwọn là ń dẹ̀ ní díẹ̀díẹ̀. But nígbà tó bá dé tán, kò sẹ́ni kankan tó máa end ẹ̀. Britain ò ní support yín. Wọ́n ò ní support Nigeria this time around because Biafra will prepare this time around. Ẹni máa kú, ẹni máa yè. Àwa máa yè o, àwọn ọ̀tá wa ló máa kú. Ó dàbọ̀.